What happens when Filipino talent meets American opportunity? You get a league of actresses who've transformed their dual market influence into real, scalable wealth. From Hollywood checks to luxury brand payments, streaming royalties, and international endorsements. Buckle up as we dive into this mind-boggling countdown of the 10 richest Filipina actresses in America. 10. Lea Salonga, Broadway royalty with a voice that built a fortune. If Beverly Hills had a Mount Rushmore for Filipino-American icons, Lea Salonga would be carved in the center, smiling, probably hitting a perfect E5. Born in Manila, raised partly in the US, she didn't just make it in America. She conquered 3 industries at once: Broadway, Disney, and global touring. Her financial architecture is one of the most fascinating on this list, because Lea's income streams are diversified in a way only a theater legend can pull off. Million-dollar Broadway contracts, decades of touring sales, recording deals, TV coaching roles, international concerts, and the crown jewel, Disney royalty income. As the singing voice of both Jasmine and Mulan, she remains tied to 2 of Disney's most profitable franchises. Every re-release, anniversary edition, or streaming surge lands her residuals. Public sources frequently estimate her net worth between 18 to 25 million, and unlike screen actors, her income spikes every time she headlines a new major production. From Miss Saigon, to Once on This Island, to Here Lies Love. Broadway isn't easy money, but for stars of her stature, it is very real money. Her American connection is deep. Lea spent years living in New York and Los Angeles, raising her daughter in the US and performing in virtually every major American cultural venue: Carnegie Hall, the Kennedy Center, and all the top Broadway houses. To Filipino Americans, she's not just a celebrity, she's a cultural touchstone, the voice many grew up hearing in both English and Tagalog households. What makes her wealth story so compelling is that she did it entirely on talent. No real estate dynasty, no viral influencer arc, just technical excellence. She's also one of the few Filipino performers awarded a Tony, Olivier, Drama Desk, and countless other recognitions, allowing her to command top-tier theater salaries for decades. Lea Salonga is the rare artist whose voice alone built a multi-million-dollar empire. No franchise lead roles required. But while she conquered Broadway with a voice that could silence a room, the next woman on our list mastered a more modern medium, turning every outfit, brushstroke, and appearance into a revenue stream. 9. Evangelista, the global fashion darling with Hollywood-adjacent wealth. If there's one woman on this list who understands how to turn identity, aesthetics, and visibility into currency, it's Evangelista. Actress, painter, fashion luminary, global collaborator, and one of the highest-earning Philippine celebrities with a wealth footprint that extends far beyond her home country. Her estimated net worth sits in the multi-million USD range, and unlike traditional actresses, Hart's fortune flows from a network, not a single stream. Her luxury endorsements span Paris, Milan, and New York. Her paintings, delicate, romantic, instantly recognizable, sell for thousands of dollars per piece. Her Fashion Week invitations aren't courtesy perks. They're paid placements, the kind of brand activations reserved for global fashion personalities. She is quite literally a walking luxury partnership. And while she's not Fil-Am by birth, Hart is deeply embedded in the American cultural circuit. She spends part of each year in Los Angeles and New York, where she collaborates with US designers, attends events covered by US Vogue and Harper's Bazaar, and commands a massive following among second-generation Filipino Americans. Her YouTube lifestyle empire has a huge US-based audience, and her art is collected by Filipino American families from San Diego to New Jersey. Her rise is a masterclass in the modern celebrity economy. She started as a teen teleserie sweetheart, pivoted into high-fashion visibility, monetized her personal aesthetic, and built an international brand ecosystem. Every handbag she carries, every gallery show, every couture front-row appearance has an economic echo. And that's exactly why she stands apart. She made herself big market without ever needing the US film machine. While Hart moves through Paris in couture, the next woman built her fortune far from runways, mastering a quiet consistency that compounds over decades. 8. Kay Abad, the teen star who quietly built a fortune. Kay Abad is the rare kind of actress whose wealth story doesn't rely on spectacle. It relies on strategy. Born in Honolulu and raised between the US and the Philippines, she entered the industry early and, instead of chasing the boom and bust cycles of fame, she treated showbiz like an actual American-style career. 2 decades of primetime roles, from the cultural classic Tabing Ilog to mainstream drama hits, gave her a steady, reliable income stream. Not glamorous, but extremely bankable. And more importantly, she didn't blow it. She stacked it. Today, her combined earnings, real estate assets, equity plays, and family investments place her comfortably in the mid-7-figure wealth bracket. That's the kind of money that doesn't trend, but grows quietly in the background. Her Filipino-American identity is not a footnote, it's a spine. Kay maintains a strong US connection with her extended family in Hawaii, her frequent American visits, and a loyal Phil Lam fan base thanks to her early 2000s roles airing across TFC cable during the peak of Filipino diaspora, Disaria television. Within US community events, she's still a nostalgia icon, one of the faces of the golden age of Filipino teen drama. But the real turning point came when she stepped away from Manila's entertainment treadmill. Marriage, motherhood, and a relocation to Cebu didn't shrink her career. They widened her financial lanes. Kay doubled down on real estate, diversified through family-owned ventures, and created income that doesn't require a camera roll. That's the move most actors never make. To sum it up, Kay's wealth isn't loud or performative. It's built on the long-term value of a stable brand. But while she grew her wealth slowly, the next entry on our list accelerated hers by pivoting to the US with a sharper plan. 7. Ina Dumlao, the Hollywood actress architecting her own rise. Ina Dumlao is the opposite of the overnight sensation archetype. She's the blueprint for the self-built Hollywood career. Born in the Philippines and raised between Manila and the US, she has one of the most multi-dimensional trajectories on this list. Actor, writer, producer, and co-creator in an industry where most newcomers barely get past the audition room. Her breakout moment came with Sanzaru, a film she co-created and starred in, an indie darling that earned festival acclaim and pushed her into the radar of casting directors. Then came roles in major American series including Ballers, MacGyver, The Bold Type, and more recently, The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix, where she delivered one of her most widely seen performances. While she's not in Hollywood's millionaire tier yet, her income structure is solid. SAG television salaries, streaming residuals, indie film back-end shares, writing credits, and production partnerships. Ina also represents a new kind of wealth, ownership. Most actors on the rise rely entirely on casting. Ina builds her own material, which means that when her projects succeed, she doesn't just get paid, she gets paid again through rights, royalties, and licensing. Interestingly, she openly discusses her immigrant upbringing, and her roles often feature Filipino cultural context, a rarity in mainstream American TV. This gives her a dual market: US visibility plus diaspora loyalty, a combination that leads to steady speaking engagements, culture-centered panels, and creative consulting work. These are not Instagram gigs, they're professional income streams. What makes her compelling is the long arc. She is not the wealthiest yet, but she is one of the most strategic. The actors who last in Hollywood are the ones who create their own doors when none open, and Ina has already proven she can write, produce, and headline when the industry isn't handing out invitations. She built her name through acting and storytelling, but the next Filipina turned her voice into an economic engine of its own, quite literally. 6. Ruby Ibarra, the rapper, actor, and diaspora icon. In every generation, there's one Filipina artist who doesn't just enter the room. She kicks the door clean off its hinges. For the Filipino-American diaspora, that artist is Ruby Ibarra. Born in the Philippines, raised in California, and forged in the Bay Area's spoken word and hip-hop scene, Ruby didn't wait for Hollywood to give her a platform. She built her own, beat by beat, with a mic in hand. Her rise started with viral tracks that sliced through the internet with surgical precision, bilingual bars, political edge, and the kind of lyrical density that made critics pay attention. But here's where Ruby's career gets fascinating. Her music wasn't just art. It became a full-fledged monetizable brand. She owns her masters. She controls her distribution. That means every stream, every licensing agreement, every sync deal in a short film or indie project goes directly into her pocket, not through a maze of intermediaries. And when her music started landing in festivals, documentaries, and cultural showcases, the film world began paying attention. Suddenly, she wasn't just performing at events. She was appearing in them, narrating them, embodying them. Her crossover into acting was a natural expansion of a voice already shaping Filipino-American narratives. Financially, Ruby sits comfortably in the mid-six-figure tier, modest compared to Hollywood A-listers, but remarkably strong for an independent artist who built her empire outside the studio system. Festivals pay her, colleges book her, cultural institutions commission her, and because she's a dual force in music and film, she taps into revenue streams most actors never access. But the real engine behind her success is cultural specificity. Ruby doesn't dilute identity for mainstream appeal, she amplifies it. And ironically, that authenticity is what makes her global. Filipino diaspora communities in the U.S. treat her concerts like cultural events, not just performances. Brands take notice, producers take notice, streaming platforms take notice. Ruby built her name with volume and visibility, but the next actress built hers with something quieter. Indie film strategy, smart career gambles, and the kind of breakout that turns one festival darling into 10 new opportunities. 5. Vanessa Valdez, the indie film lead with cross-border roots. If you want to understand how indie films can flip an actor's career upside down, Vanessa Valdez is a case study waiting to be taught in every film school. Raised in Texas with Filipino-Mexican heritage, Vanessa's ascent didn't come from landing a superhero franchise or getting a lucky network pilot. It came from something far more unpredictable, being the lead in an indie film that found its audience. Her breakout role in It's Not You, It's Me was the kind of opportunity indie actors dream about. A small budget, a passionate director, and a story that sits right in the emotional pocket of an audience hungry for authenticity. Indie film salaries aren't glamorous, often under $10K for a lead, but what people forget is how the back end works. If the film gets picked up by a streaming platform or distributed internationally, bonuses kick in. And when the film performs well, suddenly managers, agents, and casting directors start seeing you differently. That's exactly what happened to Vanessa. Her performance circulated across the festival scene, picking up audience awards and generating the kind of buzz that agents love because it signals early bankability. From there came roles in faith-based dramas, romantic comedies, and genre films, all of which have surprisingly loyal audiences and surprisingly consistent paychecks. And here's the thing about niche genres. They run in franchises. A faith-based film that performs well almost always gets a sequel. A horror title with good margins almost always becomes a series. That means repeat roles, repeat checks, and growing leverage. Vanessa has quietly positioned herself right at that intersection. Indie credibility plus genre consistency. Financially, she's not at millionaire status yet, but she's at the stage where annual earnings stack predictably, and one good streaming deal could double her trajectory overnight. Casting directors love her mixed heritage look, her emotional range, and her ability to carry smaller films without studio machinery behind her. She's the definition of a rising asset, one strong role away from jumping several ranks higher the next time we revisit this list. And if you think the indie world built Vanessa's momentum, wait until you see the next actress, someone whose crossover from US television into mainstream visibility reshaped what Hollywood expects from Filipina talent. 4. Isabel Sandoval, the festival powerhouse who bridges NY and Manila. Some filmmakers chase budgets. Isabel Sandoval chases truth. And somehow, that pays in its own quiet, compounding way. Cebu-born, New York-based, and unmistakably auteur-driven, Sandoval operates in that rare altitude where cultural capital translates into career longevity more reliably than box office numbers ever could. She isn't building a Marvel resume, she's building a legacy. Her breakout recognition came when Lingua Franca premiered at Venice, not a small achievement for a trans-Filipina filmmaker working with the leanest of indie resources. Festival laurels may not offer blockbuster paychecks, but in the American film ecosystem, they unlock something equally valuable: prestige funding. That means fellowships, research grants, artist residencies, academic appointments, and commissioning opportunities from institutions that put their money where representation matters. It's a different kind of wealth, slower, quieter, but remarkably durable. Isabel's films often find homes in niche distribution pipelines: limited theatrical releases, art house circuits, streaming pickups designed for cinephile audiences, and international licensing. These aren't multi-million-dollar deals. They're modest income streams that stack over time. And because she performs, writes, and directs, her earning nodes multiply. A film gets licensed, she's paid as the filmmaker and at times as on-screen talent. A residency invites her to teach? That's another bracket. A festival invites her to speak? There's a stipend. Multiply this across a decade, and the math becomes clearer. Prestige sustains. Her American-Philippine connection is baked into her creative identity. She lives in New York, films within immigrant communities like Brighton Beach, and crafts stories that move between diaspora longing and political urgency. This gives her a hybrid audience: Filipinos who see themselves in her narratives and U.S. cinephiles who champion her craft. And because she is trans, Filipino, and auteur-level disciplined, institutions extend support not as charity, but because she represents the future of American indie cinema. What sets Isabel apart isn't just her work, it's the ecosystem she built around herself. In film school circles, her Venice run is still referenced as proof that an immigrant trans woman can outmaneuver the U.S. indie odds through vision, finesse, and resilience. She is the reminder that cultural prestige is a currency, one that opens doors to grants, classrooms, and platforms that never stop paying forward. Next up, we have an entry that became the face of a generation, turning a single Disney Channel role into charting singles, Netflix deals, and a commercial presence that spans continents. 3. Vanessa Hudgens, the Hollywood mainstay with franchise money. If there's one Filipina-American actress who cracked the Hollywood system the old-fashioned way, blockbuster franchises, long-running royalties, and a steady climb from teen icon to bankable adult star, it's Vanessa Hudgens. Born in California to a Filipino mother from Manila, she didn't just become famous, she became synonymous with an entire Disney generation. Her wealth story is straightforward but enviable. Disney checks plus franchise residuals, + streaming-era pivots, brand partnerships. High School Musical alone continues to pay out in residuals every year, and it's the kind of project that ages like annuity income. The soundtrack still charts, the films still stream globally, and the fandom never retired their Wildcats jerseys. Public estimates place her net worth somewhere between 14–20 million taes, and unlike many teen stars, she diversified early. By her 20s, Vanessa had already evolved into a multi-genre performer. Gritty indie films, Gimme Shelter, musical TV specials, Grease Live, Netflix holiday films with global reach, and even stage roles. And then there's her thriving lifestyle brand collaborations, skincare partnerships, fashion capsules, and a wellness company, turning her social media presence into recurring income. She's mastered the modern formula: if Hollywood slows down, e-commerce fills the gap. What many don't realize is how much her Filipino heritage elevated her global audience. She's a defining face for Filipinos in America, a mainstream Hollywood success who casually normalized Filipino roots on talk shows long before today's wave of Southeast Asian representation. When she married baseball star Cole Tucker, U.S. press repeatedly highlighted her Filipino lineage, pushing her further into the cultural spotlight. And her biggest power move? She transitioned smoothly from nostalgia icon to adult actress without the PR meltdowns typical of Disney alumni. Call it discipline, call it good management. Either way, she played the long game flawlessly. But while Vanessa owned the streaming era, our next icon dominated the age of blockbuster VHS tapes, primetime TV, and cult classic cinema. 2. Tia Carrere, the OG Hollywood crossover star. Before Hollywood opened its recent diversity renaissance, Tia Carrere was already there, strutting into the frame with a rock goddess's presence in Wayne's World and later blowing up screens in True Lies and Relic Hunter. For many Filipino Americans, she wasn't just representation, she was the blueprint. The first major Filipina-adjacent face to shake up mainstream American film and TV. Her financial story is equally iconic. Public estimates place her net worth in the $5 to $8 million range, and when you look at the mechanics, it makes perfect sense. First, residuals. Those Wayne's World checks, they never stop. When networks rerun Relic Hunter, when a new Blu-ray drops, when streaming platforms rotate the classics, she gets paid. That's the beauty of 90s stardom. The roles were big, the syndication was global, and the contracts had teeth. Then there's her music career, a curveball many forget she expertly leveraged. She won multiple Grammys for her Hawaiian albums, and award-winning music brings not just credibility but royalties, tour fees, and cultural cachet. Add reality TV stints, guest appearances, and voice roles, hello, Lilo and Stitch, and you start to grasp how she built long-term wealth. Tia isn't just an actress, she's a multi-industry asset. Her American-Philippine connection is woven into her identity. Raised in Hawaii with Filipino ancestry, she became the first Filipina visible star mainstream enough to headline films, carry TV shows, and be instantly recognized by global audiences. That visibility created ripple effects, opening doors for an entire generation of Filipino-American performers who finally saw themselves in Hollywood. But the real magic of Tia's career is durability. While festival darlings fight for grants, Tia enjoys the passive income model of mainstream pop culture hits. Her filmography lives in the cultural bloodstream, the memes, the cable reruns, the nostalgic revivals. Roles that age well, pay well. Tia built the doorway for Filipina representation in mainstream American entertainment. And the actress that's sitting at number 1 on this list is stepping through that doorway with global beauty contracts, Hollywood premieres, and a bankable international fan base. 1. Liza Soberano, the Hollywood crossover and endorsement dynamo. Liza Soberano isn't just a star, she's a global asset. Born in California, raised in Manila, and adored across Southeast Asia, she built a career so large in the Philippines that her crossover into Hollywood wasn't a risk. It was an inevitability. Her financial profile is the strongest on this list for one simple reason. She doesn't rely on a single income stream. She dominates multiple. In the Philippines, her TV dramas and films raked in massive returns, enough to secure top-tier talent fees early in her career. But the real engine behind her wealth? Endorsements. Global ones. Beauty, lifestyle, tech. The kinds of contracts that pay millions and renew for years because her face moves product across continents. Public estimates place her net worth around $7 to $10 million, but insiders know the structure. Star salaries plus global brand renewals, plus real estate, plus US representation, equals compounding momentum. By the time she made her Hollywood debut in Lisa Frankenstein, she already had financial armor. She could audition selectively, take roles that expanded rather than repeated her image, and invest in her long-term crossover arc. Her American-Philippine connection gives her an edge no algorithm can replicate. US-born with Asian market superstardom? That's studio gold. She attends LA premieres with the polish of a veteran and the fan base of an A-list import. US agencies recognize her as the rare talent who arrives with a built-in global audience, the Hollywood dream scenario. What makes Liza No. 1 isn't just wealth, it's structure. Actors earn, brands multiply. Global brands multiply globally. Liza isn't just making the Hollywood jump, she's making it with parachutes, jet engines, and a fan base cheering from 2 continents. Her strategy is the new blueprint. Build massive home country fame, secure multinational endorsements, then cross the Pacific with financial freedom and narrative control. She is the crown jewel because she didn't just break into Hollywood, She arrived already shining.